Welcome to Voices from the Valley, a podcast of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. I'm Amy Spreeman, and today we are talking about hunger, not in some far-off place, but right here in our communities, especially the rural small towns here in the valley. Maybe you've asked yourself, how can it possibly be that there are so many people in northeast Wisconsin of all ages and diverse situations who are going hungry? Well, with the economy in a precarious state and the cost of everything rising, including groceries, it's becoming more evident to everyone that perhaps the dream of living in the land of plenty doesn't mean that there is plenty for all. More than 427,000 Wisconsinites have a hard time getting enough food to meet their basic needs, a situation commonly known as food insecurity. That's nearly 500,000 Wisconsinites who face hunger, including 171,000 children, according to Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin. Rural Wisconsin depends on local food banks to help cover food struggles, and sometimes those pantries need to get creative. In this episode, we're taking you to one very unique food distribution program called Neighbor to Neighbor. It was born out of desperate need in Manawa, Wisconsin, a rural town of nearly 1,500 in Waupaca County. My co-host, Carolyn DeRosier, and I recently jumped in the car with our recording equipment to find out and share with you why this program is so successful. Here's what we learned.
What about the ham salad, girls?
Yeah, we can take the ham salad with us.
I was going to take a little next door to the apartment.
Right.
The sounds that you're listening to are from a food distribution program called Neighbor to Neighbor. What's unique about this program is that it got its start by asking the question, what do food pantries do with all the food they can't use?
That's right, Amy. The pantries actually have to pay by the pound to get rid of excesses like fresh vegetables, meat, and other leftovers. Cases and cases of it. So Neighbor to Neighbor has now evolved from using the extras as a food source. We're going to talk about how this program has grown to help ease the hunger experienced by so many in rural Waupaca County, and especially in the Manawa School District.
Yeah, so here we are. Carolyn and I decided to check it out in person. And joining us is Brenda Vanderzanden, co-director of Neighbor to Neighbor Meals of Manawa. Brenda, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Tell us a little bit about the city of Manawa for people who've never been here.
Manawa is an amazing community. It really is. The people have such great hearts. They're so generous. They're hardworking, and they really take care of each other. You know, they watch out for their neighbors, and they're involved in school programs, and they're generous with community support in whatever program is going on. So they really have embraced Neighbor to Neighbor as an extension of that. So we just feel very blessed that this is where it landed and where we've grown from.
And talk a little bit about that, Brenda. How did the idea come about, and what was the need that kind of drove you and other volunteers to come up with this?
Well, we knew that we had a need in Manawa, and need is not always something that's tied to a financial number. Maybe it's a secluded elderly person. Maybe it's a disabled veteran, or maybe it's a family who've experienced a catastrophic loss. Maybe you're someone going through chemo, or you've got a family member in hospice. I mean, there are 100 ways that we experience need. And if providing a meal helps alleviate that stress, then we're in. Come talk to me. We'll help you. You know, and maybe you're a family that just has way too much month at the end of the money, and we've all been there. You know, if you've got kids to feed, to me, it's not a choice. You know, we have to feed our children.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here.
Well, a few years ago, somebody had an idea for this program, Neighbor to Neighbor. And so tell us how it was born and whom you serve.
It came out of the food pantry excess that we found just appalling. One of the couples that live here in town have a connection to a food pantry in the valley. And when they recognized the amount of food that literally was going into the dumpster every week, because grocery stores send their excess or their less than perfect to the food pantry. So they've got food coming in their back door every week. It needs to go out the front door, and what's left, there has to be some end to that.
Yeah.
So they had to pay, at the time, I think it was about 10 cents a pound. I have no idea what it is now, to actually get rid of this perfectly good food. And to them, to me, I mean, that's a sin. That truly is, that we have that kind of excess that's going to the dumpster. So they just on faith brought that, what they could haul in their trailer, back to Manawa. And we started distributing it to families that we knew had need. It really kind of mushroomed from there because at that time the abundance of what was available was staggering. So the meal program was really created to take advantage of that abundance. Now, since then, that's all changed. That equation has changed. So we now are partnering with Feeding America, a food bank, and rely on private donations and grants like from the Community Foundation. You guys have been champions of ours since the beginning. We're so thankful. And they're doing, this couple is doing their own thing privately on their own property. So it's very much a separate thing at this moment, but still serving both needs of our community, so everybody wins.
And you got started during COVID, right? Was there anything about that time in particular that was like, all right, we're going to do this now?
Oh my Lord. It was just when the opportunity presented itself. And it's like I'm kind of a global planner, so let's figure out, how do we make this safe? How do we make this effective? And that's where we chose the drive-through food service. Nobody gets out of their car. You have minimal contact with anyone. So during COVID, everybody was safe. Our volunteers, our clients, everybody was fine. And it's been a really good model, so we've just continued that. Regardless of what, the circumstances, everybody stays in their car. We can serve people much more efficiently that way. They're given a choice of beef or chicken or pork as far as a meal option, or if they need family or individual, but then the rest of that falls on our team to pick and choose and to distribute. So it doesn't occupy a lot of anybody's time. If you're worried about, only got 5 minutes, trust me, you'll be out of here in 3. So.
What does it take to run a program like this? I mean, you must need volunteers and equipment.
We do. Right now, we have a very small army of 24, but I'll tell you, their hearts are so servant-oriented. They just are, they're tremendous. I mean, I really thought when we started this, if we got a year, maybe a year and a half, it would kind of just die its natural death. But it hasn't. The demand keeps growing. Our volunteers, we've only had 2 people who needed to step back. And we knew from the beginning, people's times change. What they have available to give changes. So, that'll be an ongoing kind of thing. But our volunteers are so dedicated. Our cooks, our bakers, they're just amazing.
The bags, the blue ones, are for families. And we're putting in cordial prayers and instructions in it of how to do it, how to warm them up. And this one here has different languages.
My name is Marlise Lindsay, and I've been in with this program since it started from the beginning, and I'm a baker. I bake cookies. I know it's tough times right now, economically and for food and stuff, and actually twice a month isn't a whole lot, but it's something.
I've been volunteering for 2.5 years. Some of us are bakers and some of us are cooks. And we bring the food here, and every other Tuesday we take it to the Masonic Temple and help share it with people in need. When I tell people about it, they can't believe that we're doing such a program.
I'm Sally Tim. I'm here in the area. I mainly make the large meals, the family meals. I usually do that. Some make the single meals, and some do the baking of making the cookies. So we just spread it all out, and we pretty much know who is going to make what. And we always have enough, it seems, or plenty for all the people that we serve then today. It's just helping somebody else, that if it is somebody that needs the food, or say a family that needs food, that with the kids being so busy right now. So it really works out good that way. I just feel good to help somebody out of making the things.
You mentioned the demand is growing. How do you gauge that, and what does that demand for food assistance look like in Manawa?
Well, we are right at 20,000 meals that we have served in 3 years. Wow. If you'd have told me 3 years ago you're going to hit that number, I'd have told you were crazy. Because I never saw that kind of consistent, steady need. I think when we look at need, we kind of look at our own plane and don't realize that there are people, there are families, there are individuals who fall through those cracks on a pretty regular basis. And those are the ones that we try very hard to find, to reach out to. If they're referred to us, I don't care how that comes to us, but if we can help you, we're going to give you a meal. We've also been blessed that through Feeding America, we've been able to, as you can see behind me, we've got quite a pantry built up. And oftentimes, through the holidays especially, we'll bag up extra food that we can hand out with the meals that are, to help them get along, hoping to do another one of those maybe around Valentine's Day or Easter. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What are you hearing from the clients that you serve? What do they say?
They love the cookies.
Of course.
Homemade, they love the homemade cookies. But they are so thankful that it's one meal they don't have to worry about. Yeah. It's cooked and then frozen. So all you have to do is thaw it in your fridge and pop it in the oven if it's a family meal till it's hot and bubbly. Or if it's a microwave meal, thaw it and then reheat it. You have homemade soup that goes with that meal. So we'd really try to put the whole package together. We've had nothing but compliments on the quality of the meal, the deliciousness of the meal. And I think that shows the passion of our volunteers. They're not just interested in serving a high pasta or, junk meal. They really want a meal that they would serve their family.
Nutritious.
And, yes,
yeah.
Thank you, nutritious. And we've been able to do that.
It's so unique because most food pantries, you would picture giving out, maybe a bag of potatoes or some cans of corn or something like that. It's so amazing to see that you put together a whole entire meal for somebody.
Yeah, it is definitely unique. Now, we do have a wonderful food pantry here in town, and that is their model. They're open on Mondays, and people can come in and, get some of the provision they need. But when it comes then to the time to put that meal together, and especially if you're a single parent with kids, that's really hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
You mentioned you'd served 20,000 meals, and we're hearing that's individuals, families, parents. How many maybe individuals or families on like a monthly basis would you say are
We're serving an average of 600 meals a month, pretty consistently. Now, we've had some months that, it's been a little higher, maybe a little lower, but very consistently, we're averaging 600 meals a month. And I got to tell you, we could not do this without the sponsorship of different churches and organizations that have come. Again, this is Manawa taking care of their own. When we talk to St. Paul's Church, they're like, yes, we will provide the individual containers and the prayer portals. We talked to Sacred Heart, and they said, we'll provide the family containers. We still could use someone to do soup containers. But with everybody doing a little bit, then the monies that we get really can be for food. And that takes a huge burden off the program. We're really able to do nutritious food, fresh carrots, not canned carrots in a meal, and it makes a difference. Nutritionally, it makes a difference.
It does. There are a lot of listeners who don't live in Manawa, and they might want to listen to this and think, how can we help? What would you say to somebody listening to this podcast? What can they do to help you?
We always welcome private donations, and they could send any amount to Neighbor in care of the United Methodist Church here in Manawa. Thrivent gift cards are absolutely amazing. We can turn that $250 gift card, community action gift card, into much, much more. In the winter months, if you're local and you've got a couple of hours, we can always use volunteers. Not necessarily to cook or bake, but like this afternoon, we have to fill coolers, load them into vehicles, take them to the Masonic Center, offload them, serve it, and then bring it all back. I'm the youngest volunteer in our group, so if there's some muscle out there that would mind helping, that'd be great. there's really any, contact me. There's any number of ways we can get you involved.
We'll make sure that we put all your contact
That'd be
information
wonderful. Thank you.
Right on our show notes today.
And I understand you accept donations when you do the distribution, and even people who are receiving the meals will donate what they can. I think that's pretty cool.
It is. We never expect and we never require a donation. But if you are so led, then thank you. I don't care if it's $1 or $2. Again, those get multiplied and blessed, and the program works. We create 600 meals a month on probably $250 worth of groceries.
Wow.
And when you're looking at the number of people you're feeding, it's not just 650 people. That's family meals, individual meals, and our individual meals are generous. They're really a 2-person serving, especially if they're an elderly. Plus you've got soup, and you've got breakfast sandwiches. So you're really feeding a lot more than 600 and whatever people.
You mentioned elderly folks. You do some direct distribution to folks that might not be able to drive. Is that correct?
We do.
Can you tell a little bit about that?
Well, we have a couple of apartment buildings that we deliver to. And some of those are personal, like one of them, their son, his mom lives there. So he's one of our cooks. So he makes sure that he, rounds up meals and takes them and distributes them. We have a couple of neighbors just here locally that it's really hard for them, especially in the wintertime, to get out. So one of our deliveries as they're leaving today is going to be to go across the street and make sure that those folks get the meals they need. We go to the apartments next door here to our church and hand out the meals that the clients there would like. So we do what we can. We can't offer a delivery service, but in the scope of what we can do, we certainly will do.
Yeah, those volunteers are so blessed to
They
be
are.
able to do this.
We couldn't do it without them. They're just incredible. Yeah. Just incredible.
Is there anything else that we haven't asked you about that you just want to make sure you say?
Manawa has so embraced neighbor to neighbor, and my gratitude to this community is just so profound. It just speaks to the people. It speaks to the heart of who these folks are and the love and the care that they have for their neighbors. And it really makes me emotional when I think about that, because it's not that way in big cities. If you don't know what a good small town life can be, then I really feel for you, because Manawa has it. It's just incredible. We're getting ready to celebrate our 150th year as a community, and groups and organizations are all planning to do different things. And that's what small town life, we tell ourselves it's the best small town ever. But we believe it. It really is wonderful.
You kind of can feel it.
You
from
do.
you and from when we come.
Yeah, it really is a gem. Wow. Brenda, thanks so much for what you're doing and
Thank
for
you.
joining us on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate all that the Community Foundation has done for us. Like I said before, you guys have been with us since the beginning. You're the folks who bought the freezers that we needed and helped us stock our pantry. And whenever I've needed, another $500 or $1,000 for food, you guys have been there with us as a foundational, every step of the way. And I just can't thank you enough for that, because without you guys, I don't know that we would have had the great start and continuous service that we would have. So thank you.
It's been our privilege.
It has been. Yes,
well.
thank you.
Thank you.
We will be right back.
What matters most to you and why? At the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region, we know you care about the causes and issues that impact your life and the lives of your neighbors. Maybe it's education or affordable housing or our great outdoors. There are so many ways you can impact lives and make the Fox Valley an even better place to live for all. Let us know what matters to you. Learn more at cffoxvalley.org/matters. Together we flourish.
The Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region works to strengthen our community today and for generations to come by helping people, businesses, and organizations make a difference in the lives of all. Get in the loop. Stay informed about what's happening in the Fox Valley through the Community Foundation. Our blog shares stories of impact about the arts, education, community improvement, healthcare, human services, and the environment. Sign up at cffoxvalley.org/loop. See how giving matters.
If giving is a value you want to pass along to your family, you should know about the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. A charitable endowment fund in your family's name can support the causes you care about most today and for generations to come. It's a simple, powerful, highly personal approach that helps your family members stay connected to the community and to each other. To learn more, call the Community Foundation or log on to www.cffoxvalley.org.
Well, that's going to wrap up this episode, and all of the links to Neighbor and other food programs helping to feed our Fox Valley neighbors are in today's show notes at cffoxvalley.org/podcasts. This episode is titled Neighbor to Neighbor, and it is our 60th episode, so you can check them all out. And one update for you. Voices from the Valley is taking a summer sabbatical, and we are planning to resume podcasting in the near future, so stay tuned. Thanks for listening in. I'm Amy Spreeman for Voices from the Valley, a podcast of the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region.